Hi Praise family, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial I'll be teaching us how to draft and make a well-fitted bustier top. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Thank you. For the measurements, we are going to be working with inches. The blouse length is 24, the bust is 34, and the across front of the bust is 18, while the across back is 16. The front bust is usually bigger than the back bust. That is why we have it 18 and 16. You don't divide your bust into two equal parts. Measure your across front separately and your across back separately to get your accurate bust measurement. The under bust is 28, the waist is 26, the shoulder is 14, divided by 2 will give us 7. The shoulder to under bust is 13, the shoulder to waist is 16, the shoulder to nipple is 9.5, while the nipple to nipple is 7.5. To get our armhole depth, we'll divide our bust by 6 plus 1.5, that is 34 divided by 6 plus 1.5 equals to 7.1 inches. Now let's impute our measurements into our pattern paper. The shoulder is 14 divided by 2, which is 7. Mark your 7 and on that point come down by 1 to create your shoulder slope. Then measure the width of your neck. This here I measured 2.75 and slant your shoulder slope this way. Then you measure the depth of your armhole, which we calculated earlier, 7.1. Measure your 7.1. Extend the line outside a bit. Then you measure your shoulder at that point, which is 7. Connect those lines together and draw a straight line from your shoulder depth to the 1 inch shoulder slope line like this. Divide your nipple to nipple into 2, that is 7.5 divided by 2, which will give us 3.75. You can divide any of your measurements by folding your tape into 2 on the exact measurements. 7.5 divided by 2 will give us 3.75. Measure the 3.75 through your blouse length like this and rule a straight line connecting those little lines together. Make sure you input all your vertical measurements, that is all your length measurements, on that line. Measure your shoulder to nipple length, which is 9.5. and rule it out. Measure your shoulder to under bust length, which is 13 inches, on the same line. Also rule it out. Measure your shoulder to waist measurements. Here we have 16 inches. Rule it out. And finally, measure your blouse length. And here I have 24 inches. And label each lines with their names. Here I have the armhole line. Sorry, my camera wasn't placed well. You get to see it when I'm done labeling. Then I have my nipple to nipple line, which is also my bust line. I have it as my bust line. When I place the pattern well, you will get to see the labeling. Then I have my under bust line here. I also have my waistline, and finally my blouse length, or you label it hip line. On your under bust line, on the vertical line, measure 1 inch on both sides. Repeat the same thing on your waistline. Measure 1 inch on both sides, and also repeat the same thing on your blouse length line, like this. Connect those dots together to form a straight line. That is from your under bust line down to your blouse length, like this. On the bust line, come down by 0.5 before placing your ruler to draw out the bustier cuff, like this. Place your ruler so well that it will form the cuff. Repeat the same thing on the other side. From the bust point, measure 3.5 upward, like this. That's the extent at which I want the bust upper area to be covered. You can decide to measure 3 inches or 2.5 inches, depending on how exposed you want the bust area to be. But here I measure 3.5 inches. On that point, draw an extension line, like this, and measure 0.5 inch on both sides this way. And on your bust point, measure 0.5 inch upward, like you did to the down part. Then place your cuff ruler accurately, like this. You can see how I placed my ruler. Place it accurately and roll it out on both sides. Measure the depth of your neck. Here I use 7.5 inches for the depth of my neck. You can decide to use 8 inches, 9 inches, depending on how you want it. Cuff out the neckline, then put your ruler on the other side of your pattern and cuff it out this way. Make sure you follow these steps to get the perfect results. Divide your armhole depth into 2. Remember, we use 7.1 for our armhole depth. Now we'll have 3.6 as the armhole depth. Mark it out, then you come in by 0.75 inch. If the person is a plus size, you can come in by 1 inch. Place your cuff ruler like this, then you cuff your armhole out. For this space here, we have 1 inch. Remember, it is the dart and we are going to be cutting it out. We have 1 inch for the space there, and we are going to extend it on the chest line, like this. Then we'll cuff out a new armhole for that side. Make sure you place your ruler very well. We extended it by that 1 inch for our measurements to be accurate at the end of the day. Remember that space in between, we are going to be cutting it out. More reason we extended the armhole at that side. Moving forward, Measure the depth of your neck. I use 3.5 inches for the depth of my neck here. You can decide to use any length you want. You can go with 4 inches, 4.5, depending on your choice. Now we are going to impute our body's measurements, but before we do that, we need to be very sure both sides of our front bodies are accurate, especially on the bust area. We have to be sure the center front cuff and the side front cuff are equal to avoid dragging it while sewing. We have 7.25 on both sides. That means we are good to go. Then we'll continue by imputing our body's measurements. Our across front is 18 inches. On the bust line, you will measure your 18 inches. 18 divided by 2 will give us 9 inches. Then you transfer the 9 inches to your armhole line, like so. The under bust measurement is 28 divided by 4 plus 2 inches that will be cutting out. You divide your under bust by 4. We divided the bust by 2 because it is just the across front we are dealing with. So the waist is 26 divided by 4 plus the 2 inches that allowance will give us 8.5. Then I measured 8.5 inches for the waist. For the blouse length, I'm using 8.5 inches, but I'll be adding 2 inches to it. That will make it 10.5 inches. The 10.5 inches is approximately my hip measurement. So you rule it out this way. Cuff your waist line so well so it will not have this sharp shape. It will be cuffy. Then on the blouse length, go up by 3 inches to create the blouse cuff at the tip, and use your ruler to achieve the cuff like this. Once you follow these steps, it will be very easier for you. So moving forward, you measure your side darts. Here I used 1.5 inches for the side darts. You can use 2 inches depending on the person's body size, and also measure a 0.5 inch inward and connect those lines together like this. That is for our side dart. Remember I said you can use 2 inches for the side darts or 2.5 depending on the person body size. Now I will be outlining the places we are going to be cutting out with my marker, so it will be obvious for you all to see. If you found this tutorial helpful, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more detailing tutorials on how to draft, pattern, cuts, and sew different styles. I am going to outline every area I'll be cutting out to make it obvious, like I've said earlier, before proceeding to drafting the back bodice pattern. Proceeding to drafting the back bodice, measure 1.5 inches for your zipper allowance. Then you measure your shoulder. The shoulder is 14 divided by 2, that's 7. Come down by 1 inch for your shoulder slope. Then from the 1.5 inch zipper allowance you marked, you measure your neck width, which is 2.75. Slant your shoulder slope this way. Measure your 3.75 inches for the nipple to nipple measurements here. It's on this point we will be inserting all our vertical measurements, that is the length, the half length, like we did to the front bodies. For the back half length, which is the shoulder to waistline, we are not going to be using 16 because we already deducted 1.5 inches for the side that's at the front bodies. So we are going to deduct the 1.5 inches for the 16. There we have 14.5 inches. Because of this dart that we've deducted here, we will be deducting the 1.5 inches from the 16 inches we have before, and it will give us 14.5 inches. Now rule out your 14.5 inches for your shoulder to waist measurements or your half length. On the waistline, you measure 2 inches for your zipper allowance there. You know, at the upper part here we measure 1.5 inches here, but on the waistline you are going to measure 2 inches. Then you will now measure your 1.5 inches, which is your accurate zipper allowance. This is to avoid your zip from bulging. Then you measure 1.5 inches at the down part, and you will rule it out this way. Just follow this step one after the other, then you get your perfect results. Then you bring your ruler to this point, you slant it this way. It will not be straight because the back bodice is not straight, it is curvy. That's why we are removing that half inch to avoid our zip from bulging. Then you cuff it so well. As you can see, we all have 1.5 inches all through for the zipper allowance. Insert your armhole depth, which is 7.1 inches. Extend the line out a bit. Then you place your ruler straight like this and rule out your armhole line. Here I already have my shoulder to waist measurement, the half length, which is 14.5. Then still on the same point, I will measure my blouse length. The actual blouse length is 24, but for the back blouse length you will not be using 24 inches. You have to deduct the 1.5 side dart allowance from the 24 inches so that the back length won't be longer than the front length. There we have 22.5 inches for the back blouse length. Then you rule it out this way. Don't forget to deduct your dart allowance from the back length so that the back length won't be longer than the front length. The front length is 24 and the back length is 22.5 inches because of the 1.5 inches dart allowance that we deducted. And label your lines this way. We have the armhole line, the waistline, then we have the blouse length line or the hip line. Cuff out your back armhole. You can use your free hand, but if you are making a dress for a plus size person, you will need to come in by 0.5 inch. After dividing your armhole depth into 2, you need to come in by 0.5 inch before cuffing your armhole. Then you insert your body's measurements. For the bust, we have 16 inches for the across back measurement. 16 divided by 2 will give us 8 inches. Here we don't need our under bust measurements, we only need our waist measurements. Our waist measurement is 26 divided by 4 will give us 6.5. Then we'll add 1 inch that allowance for the back. Then for the blouse length of the hip line, we are going to be using 8.5 inches because the hip is 34 inches divided by 4. That's 8.5 inches for the hip line measurement. Connect those points together like this. On your waistline, measure 3 inches for your dart placement. You can use 3.5 inches depending on the waist circumference measurement. Then on that point, come down by 4 inches, then go up by 5 inches to create your dart leg. On that vertical line, measure 0.5 inch inward and 0.5 inch outward and connect both sides slantly like this. Then measure the depth of your neck. Here I'll be using 1.5 inch for the depth of my neck. You can use 3 inches, 7 inches, 8 inches depending on your choice. On the blouse length or the hip line, come up by 3 inches like you came up on the upper bodies. Then you use your ruler to cuff the blouse tip cuff out this way. I use my marker to outline the lines we'll be cutting out so it can be obvious for you all to see. The back bodies and the front bodies are ready. Make sure you measure your side lines to be sure both lines on both sides are accurate. The dotting decide that both lines must be accurate, so when you are sewing it, you will not have shortage on any sides. After confirming both sides are accurate, proceed to cutting it out and label it. Here I have them labeled yoke, center front, side front, and back bodies. Once again, if you find this tutorial helpful, kindly subscribe to my channel, like, comment and share for more detailed tutorials like this. See you all in my next tutorial. In my next tutorial, I will be teaching us how to sew your bustier blouse perfectly and also your pattern placement on fabric. See you all. Thank you.